video is absolute cornerstone of educating the marketplace.
Yeah.
Some people like to learn in different ways. Some people want to read stuff. Some people want to watch infographics. But video is probably the one that you sit there and go, yeah, it's going to cover the most bases.
Hey guys, welcome to the Willseye Podcast. My name is Will Phillips, and in this series, we help creatives and businesses better understand each other in order to form stronger collaborations that result in more effective advertisement campaigns. For those of you who don't know what Willseye is and what we do, we are a creative agency that niches in film production in order to help brands communicate more effectively in the digital world. In this episode, I'm joined by Simon Dell of Cemoh, Marketing Stuff on Demand. Hey, Simon.
Hey, how are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Thanks for coming on today. We've got a fair bit to cover. And
Yeah.
not a lot of time to cover.
Rock and roll. Go for it.
Tell me a bit about yourself and your journey before Cemoh.
Yeah, I finished university, did a law degree at university, got out of university, thought I'm never doing that again. I was really involved in university in organising basically parties, functions, events, those kind of things. So ended up going into pubs and nightclubs for many, many years and running those, doing management courses. Ended up getting out of that, moved into sales, beer in the beer industry, which was interesting. This was back in the UK. Did that for a fair few years. Moved to Australia 2003, I think. So 19 years this year.
Wow.
Did a little bit of sales here, and then ended up moving into marketing when I was at Lion Nathan. So that sort of started my marketing career. Probably would have been about 2006, 2005, 2006, that kind of thing. Got out of that corporate business, started my own thing. And then, as you probably know, once you start running your own thing, you can't go back and work for other people. So it's,
you get too stubborn, hey?
You've been freed. So I was in marketing, started consulting, started my own agency, ran an agency really badly. We'll talk about that later, no doubt. For about 6 years, made huge amounts of mistakes there. And then sort of came back out of that, went back into consulting, swore I'd never run an agency again, ended up running an agency, consulting again, as you do. And then sort of pivoted about coming up to about 2 years ago into Cemoh. So that's kind of the very quick sort of potted history, yeah.
Mate, that's perfect history. Yeah, right. So, because for those of you who don't know, I was at an event that Simon's company Cemoh hosted last week, or at the recording date last week, and I heard you talk about Forex and then Coles, and then is that right, or am I mixing these?
No. Matt Newbury, who was the guest at that event, worked for Coles. So
right,
yeah,
okay.
I was working at Forex, and obviously Coles at that time, which would have been probably 2007, 2008. That's when they were buying up all the hotels. Coles were buying half of them, Woolworths were buying the other half. They had massive purchasing power. So Matt was one of the buyers for Coles, and so he was the man that everybody needed to impress and look after. So he was everybody's friend. So yeah,
epic. Okay, cool. I want to dive into that. You said we wanted to talk about it later, but I'd like to talk about it.
Sure,
right now.
Go for it. Yeah.
What happened? So
look, look. 2 Cents was It was one of those things where I got into business with the wrong people, and not to say that they were the wrong people. It was just the wrong people for me to be in business with, and made some very poor decisions in terms of managing cash flow, debt, money, recruitment, just a lot of sort of ongoing sequence of poor decisions that ended up with the company struggling. Financially. And I look back on it now and I kind of go, how did I get myself into that mess? But, it was a good company. We had a good brand. We did some good work. We had some great clients. Nice team. We had lots of good people working for us, but just badly sort of run in the background. And, 99% of that was down to me and just my inadequacies of understanding how to run a business properly. and understanding some elements of running a business that, there's no, day one, you don't get an instruction manual. You have to, you have to learn this shit for yourself. It's
on the go.
And so, lots and lots of, little mistakes here and there. And even when I tried to, when I realized that there was a problem, I'd fixed it in the wrong way. Just didn't listen to people that I should have perhaps listened to. So that was just this sequence of, poor decisions and sort of ended up in me selling the business, getting out of the business. It went into administration about 6 months after I'd sold it.
Wow.
Largely because of the debts that I'd incurred running the business. So, there was a lot of fallout from that, and it wasn't particularly nice, and I lost a lot of people that I don't talk to now because of the disaster that was. So, but I look back on it now and I go, the things I learned there were just, phenomenal. They were just a lot of things that I learned that I've never done again, or I've made deliberately sure that we haven't done this time around. So, I've been kind of super careful, sort of micromanaged it this time so that I know everything that's happening. But yeah, that was what it was. It was just probably stemmed down. The main thing was just poor management of cash. If you're in an advertising marketing agency, that's not the thing that's top of your mind all the time. So
very true.
It's you kind of, you don't go into it thinking, hey, this is going to be something that I'm going to get really enthusiastic about, managing cash flow and stuff like that. You just, so just poor management of cash I would probably say was the biggest mistake there.
Okay. We're going to save that whole question for
yeah.
We jumped in.
Yeah, no, all good. It's something I've been very, I've been very open about. I did a podcast myself where I just recorded my own story, and I did another one with someone else about 3-4 weeks ago where I talked about it quite, openly. I think it's massively important to recognize the failures that you've had in the past and learn from them. I know that sounds very cliche and everybody says that, but for me, it's been a huge help. Failing in that galactic size has been a massive help.
Yeah,
kind of sounds weird, but that's the reality of the situation.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And of course, once a mistake's made, to not make it again. You
would think so, but there are some that have been repeated. But
okay. We don't have to go into that.
But no, there's some that have been repeated. But
okay.
So anyway, it is what it is. You can't go back in time and change anything. So
no. But on to bigger and better things now.
Yeah.
Cemoh.
Yes.
What's happening?
So Cemoh came about because we had a client that wanted to hire one of our staff. Again, long story short, her marketing manager had quit literally on a Monday morning, had rung up and said, I'm not coming back in again.
Jeez.
I say she was panicking. She doesn't panic. She's not a panicking kind of person, but she sort of rang us up and said, hey, have you got anybody in your office that can kind of step in and help out for a couple of months while I recruit somebody, just like 1 day a week? Somebody stepped in, Rebecca, who's still with us today. She was due to go on maternity leave. She was sort of 5 months pregnant, but she sort of said, well, I'll go in for a couple of months and cover off what needs to be done. And the sort of business model was born out of that, with the client sort of coming back and going, hey, Rebecca's awesome. She's getting about 80% of what the marketing manager was doing in a week done in a day. So we were like, okay. Rebecca's just one of those super efficient, people. She just gets shit done. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
Hence why you've kept her.
Yeah. So she went in there, worked with the client, and the light bulb went on, and we kind of went, well, we were always wanting to, and by we, me and my business partner, we always wanted to scale something. And for all the people listening in agency world, agencies they're often quite hard to scale. And I would say agencies are hard to scale for two reasons. Number one, often they're very reliant on the personality and the network of the person that is running the business, because they're often the rainmaker in terms of finding business and all those kind of things.
Definitely.
So that's a challenge. The second reason that agencies are hard to scale is because often there's in, just even in a city or a town, there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10, whatever, all doing similar things. So you've got this kind of, competition, and it's very dangerous that you end up racing to the bottom in terms of price and promises and all those kind of things. So when we came back to Cemoh, which, the principle was marketing staff on demand, we kind of went out there and went, well, it's not a new concept. People have been doing it in HR and finance and lots of other spaces, but nobody really does it in marketing. There's a lot of fractional CMOs about. That's the sort of American expression. Certainly fractional CMOs in the US is a thing. There's a company in the UK that does something similar, but there's not that many of them about. Generally because it's quite a people-heavy business.
Yep.
And lots of agency owners probably aren't over-enthusiastic about, managing lots of people. That's not what they really want to do. They want to be creative and produce something creative. So if they can take the people out of it, all the better. But that was the sort of light bulb moment. July 2020, we launched the Cemoh brand. Decided that's what we were going to scale up, and it's been going very well ever since. March should be a record month for us. Well, it already is a record month, even before the month has ended. So yeah, now it's all about how we actually scale this beyond this point.
Yeah. And is that a difficult process, you think? Like, where do you start?
It is because two reasons. Number one, the business is still reliant a little bit on me. It is. We still have the same problem to a degree that we would have with the marketing agency, is that I am the rainmaker and I'm the one that has all the contacts out there. So that in itself is a problem, but that's something we believe that we can solve. So that's challenge number one. The second problem is explaining it to people. Everybody understands a marketing agency. Everyone understands a video production agency, but they don't necessarily understand marketing staff on demand. So that's been a challenge, and those are probably the two key challenges. Recruitment, we're getting better and better at recruitment. We're still making a few mistakes in recruitment.
Recruitment of the Cemohs.
Recruitment of the Cemohs, yeah. So we still make a few mistakes around there, but we're getting better and better and better at that. Look, I mean, those are our main key challenges. Is if we're going to move into a different city or whatever, we need to be able to turn the tap on of clients straight away, and that's something that we are working on tackling as we speak. Okay.
Tough. So moving into a new city, you've got to have the Cemohs before you have the clients, right?
Cemohs definitely come in before the client, so absolutely. Because the worst thing is that you get a client saying, "Hey, I need a digital marketing manager for 3 months, full time, and I want them to start Monday," and you sit there and scratch your head and go, "Well, we better start recruiting some people."
Yeah.
But generally our Cemohs are established freelancers or established contractors. Those are people that have been doing it for a while, understand the pros and cons of being a contractor or being a freelancer. And I normally come to us with, "Hey, I've got a day or two spare, and can you sell it for me?" And we're like, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
It's the same kind of it's a marketplace. It's a marketplace that we've seen grow in the last 10 years, where people are sort of pulling together spare time or spare inventory from people and selling it back out to just to the marketplace as as an aggregator type thing. So
just like a connector.
So So Airbnb do it very well, but those kind of things. So
cool. And our audience for this podcast predominantly is agency owners and company founders. Yeah. But there is a lot of freelancers, creative, as marketing and stuff too. How do they get in touch to become a Cemoh if they would like to?
Yeah. Just go to the website. There's a Become a Cemoh page and fill that in. We go through a fairly rigorous, but it depends who they are. But we do go through a process to bring them on. Some people just apply and we just go, you're in. Whoever you are, you're in. Sometimes you get. Generally the strategists, the senior strategists, generally they're female. for no reason other than I think females in that space tend to deal with ambiguity better of being a consultant. Men tend to struggle with that.
Right.
But they'll come to us and they've got 5 or 10 years consulting experience. They've been doing it for a while. You can see it on their LinkedIn CV. They've got a long list of clients that they've worked with before. They're the sort of people that I can introduce into a client. The client will go, they're awesome.
Yeah.
And then never hear anything from the client for 6 months, and which is where we want it.
Yeah.
We don't not want to hear from the client, but we want the client to be happy.
Yeah.
That's the best result for us. So our job really is that matchmaker bit right at the start.
Yep.
Getting the right people in with the right clients. And if we do that, then life's good. So that's kind of that's people. What we're looking for is those people that have got 1 or 2 days spare and they want some extra work, and we can find them for that. And but they're very autonomous.
Yes.
We don't end up having 10 phone calls every week with them, or them asking us 3 times how to do the same thing. And that's where it sort of stretches our our resources in the back end to keep managing them. So we want them to be autonomous. We want them to build a relationship with the client, but we want them to still feel that they're part of our network. So
cool. Okay. Only the best of the best, basically.
Yeah. The best of the best of the best. What's that from? That's from a film. I can't remember. Oh, that's Men in Black. There we go.
There you go.
The Will Smith reference for.
Well, it's a bit topical right now.
It is a bit
I don't
topical.
know.
Yeah.
With the Will Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we won't talk about that.
No. That's a whole new podcast on its own.
Well, yeah. Jumping into a couple more of these questions. Talking about the current employment market for the marketing industry and creative industry too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been hearing a lot of different things because we have a couple of clients that are recruitment agencies as well.
Yeah.
And it seems very volatile, dangerous right now from my perspective, from what I've heard. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, look, it's there's not a lot of people out there. I mean, look, it depends who you talk to. We've spoken to some and they've had some really good applications come through. We've spoken to some and they've had like 2 or 3 good applications come through for what are good jobs. I think the lack of immigration into Australia at the moment is obviously hurting us. But this concept of the sort of great resignation that everyone's quitting and moving jobs. I don't know. I don't necessarily see that that's happening any more than it has been happening. But yeah, it's hurting to people to find. People are struggling to find good marketing staff, which is also, to my mind, is also coupled with the fact that it's hard to determine who is a good marketing staff. It's the problem with marketing, as we all see, is that and same with video as well, is that everyone thinks they can do it. Certainly with video, it's like, hey, I can point a current iPhone in the right direction. And even I realized the other week is that the iPhones have these stabilizing kind of things in them as well, the video stabilizing. So I was doing a video of the kids the other day and I went, shit, that looks like it was taken by a drone or something. It was just awesome. And I'm like going, so all of a sudden people are going, hey, I can produce this stuff. And that's the struggle with marketing. Everyone thinks they can do marketing. So there's no determinator of who is a good marketer. It's hard to work that out.
Yeah.
So again, that's kind of where we step in, because we're trying to do the, we're saying to people, hey, look, take these people on for 4 weeks, see how they turn out, see what they're like. You're not committed to anything, and if they don't work, they don't work. So yeah, look, it's a struggle. The marketplace is a struggle. I don't see it kind of ending anytime soon.
No.
And everyone, especially Australian employees, have this kind of concept that they now have some sort of entitlement to work from home as well whenever they like.
Oh, I know,
so which is, I can understand that, and I also understand the concept of, yes, there's no point in wasting an hour of your day every day sitting in a car, when you could be productive. But at the same time, there's an element of a business having everyone in the same place at the same time, workshopping ideas, creating ideas, that you don't get from everybody working at home. So the hybrid model is probably the right way of doing things, but I don't think anyone's really got it right yet as to how it should be and what it should look like.
No, and it's those conversations that you can't measure in, you're sitting in the office all together and someone goes, I just was thinking about this one thing.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
boom.
Yeah.
Given that we don't have too much more time, I'll shuffle on with these questions. Wanted to talk about two things real quick is marketing trends for 2022.
Yep.
And now we're already into March. So, looking even 2023 and beyond, what are you seeing in the marketing world? What's working? What's not working?
Yeah. Look, I think, everyone's talking about NFTs and metaverse and all that stuff. I think largely that is very niche at the moment. It's going to remain niche for, the next 2 or 3 years. There's not suddenly going to be all this, desire to start doing business inside a virtual world. And in fact, I would probably argue in the next 18 months is actually the polar opposite of that, is that, someone said to me Friday is that, people want to get together, people want to talk to each other face to face, and talk to each other face to face with a bit of purpose, and then a bit of an objective. So, and which is what we try to sort of capture in that event. And we, we'll sort of build on that next time, is that, there's a reason for being here. There's a reason for you meeting new people, building your network, growing your knowledge base and people that and all those kind of things. Just to sort of sit there and say, hey, we're all going to start putting headsets on and spending 4 hours a day on but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think NFTs have a space, an exciting space, certainly in gaming. I think the metaverse is, I'm not going to say it's dead before it's even started. There will be a place for it as well.
Yeah.
But, we've all had these conversations about the next big things like, segues and, QR codes. And I know QR codes became big through, COVID. But beyond that, really, you're going to see the death again of the QR code. It's, who's going to scan stuff? They just don't want to do it, Virtual reality. And, I keep having this seeing this guy on LinkedIn who, virtual reality or augmented reality on beer cans and stuff. I'm like, what? Like scanning a beer can and the whole label coming to life. And I'm going, you know what? That looks awesome. It looks pretty, but my God, people are going to do that once and then they're never going to do it again.
Literally.
It's just, that's the reality of the situation. So, So the trends that I probably see are face-to-face. I think face-to-face is going to just become a massive opportunity that people aren't exploiting properly. I think event companies need to get their shit together and produce events that people actually want to connect with. And by connect with, I don't say put someone on a stage and 200 people in an audience in a darkened room. That's not, I could do that online. That could be done online. But put me in a room where I can genuinely learn something, build connections, where I can come out of it as a better, more knowledgeable person, and a more connected person than when I went into it.
Yeah.
So that to me is still a huge trend, a huge opportunity. The rest of them, and I think anyone, I know this isn't really answering the question, but anyone who says what's the next trend going to be, and I'm just like, they don't know. Nobody knows. It's all this thing where people want customized products and and people want experiences. I'm like, oh, God Almighty! It's just. We've regurgitated the same bollocks for the past 10 years about what people want. Nobody really knows what people want. And then even if we did, all of a sudden a pandemic comes out of nowhere and screws everything up. So, look, I think people want things done well. And that seems a really ambiguous statement, but, people want, quality products. And they don't necessarily want them expensive, but you look at, for example, there's a new video game come out that I've just forgotten what it's called. Maybe it's called Elden Ring. That one, yeah.
I've seen a lot of that.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful game, and everyone's raving about it because they can get immersed in it, they can enjoy it, they can, just think how many metaverse games are doing that? How many games in the last few years have captured people's imagination like this? It hasn't really happened.
Yep.
And they've produced something of really high quality. They've thought about it. There's a story behind it. It's engaging. TV as well. I mean, TV is still. Just look at the streaming services and the growth of that. That's what people want. They don't want to sit in a cinema. They want to, just. I've got 20 shows I'm watching at the moment. It's ridiculous. I don't know how I'm going to get
3 streaming platforms.
across probably 5 streaming platforms. So but those things are. How does your business become part of that?
Yeah.
How does your business engage people in those areas where people are? So, look, which is why video is so important, which I know is one of your other questions.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about video because, again, the word on the street is video's the way of the future.
Yeah.
And it already is here.
Yeah.
Like, we know that. What's your thoughts? How do you see it being the future?
Yeah, look, I mean,
Yeah.
TikTok is massive. It's not just for kids. It's not just, chicks in bikinis dancing. It is a valid form of communication, and people need to get onto that. And the TikTok is beautiful because it allows you to see a load of things that you would have never seen anywhere else. Certainly not on any of the streaming services, certainly not in YouTube, certainly not in Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or anything like that.
And really quickly.
Yeah, and really quickly. So you can make a quick judgment, and then you can deep dive and learn more about things and watch more of those channels. So I see, and I'd probably tell you who else does it well, which is, it's slightly X-rated, but OnlyFans. When you see how OnlyFans has developed in the last 5 years from becoming what was a porn-based platform. So now you can go, if you go on OnlyFans, there's like carpenters on there teaching you how to, build a table and shit like that. It's there's a lovely guy on TikTok and and YouTube who does a carpenter. I think he's in New Zealand, and he appears all the time because people keep trying to give him money, and he keeps sending the money back to people. He's going, I don't want money. I just want just you guys watch and learn. Yeah. But those are the sort of things is that people with real individual skills can come to the marketplace now and be and be successful and be influencers or create businesses around it. There's huge opportunities like that, and I think the next stage, then the natural stage, is businesses being able to do that. That's how they reach their marketplace, by going out and educating. It's something that's been said for 15 years since the advent of Facebook, and there's a guy who wrote a book, I'm going to forget his name, called Utility, and it's not utility with a U, it's spelled YO utility, so utility.
Okay.
And if you get it's an old book. I mean, say old, 15 years. But it talks about how the best way to grow your business is to go out and educate people. Podcasts, video, information, helping, support, whatever you do, that is the way. And what we have now in 2022 is a huge volume of channels in which you can do that and go out and reach people. Yeah. And that is including anything from TikTok down to face-to-face. People want to learn. I had this conversation with a prospect client yesterday whose target market are doctors and surgeons. You don't knock on a door of a doctor and surgeon and sell them something. That's not how it happens. To get in front of them, you've got to teach them and educate them, and they want to learn. So that's the only way you can do it. So I think that, to me, is that trend. Video is absolute cornerstone of educating the marketplace and educating your prospective customers moving forward from here.
Yeah, and easily the most engaging way to do so.
Absolutely.
Because you can do anything.
Some people like to learn in different ways. Some people want to read stuff. Some people want to watch infographics, blah, 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 blah. But video is probably the one that you sit there and go, yeah, it's going to cover the most bases. You don't have to produce War and Peace. You don't have to have, Batman length 3-hour epics that you're producing for people. But, 3-minute, 5-minute, genuinely interesting, genuinely educational, not self-promotional, not flogging yourself, not talking about how fantastic you are. Go out and genuinely educate people.
Yep. Very good. Okay, well, I have one more question for you because we're probably running 1 minute over time now. These baseball caps.
Yeah, so we got.
Do I get one? Or?
When they're made, yeah. No, I found a company in Sweden. This is it. They were running ads on Instagram. Yeah. And I clicked through, and it was a high quality premium baseball cap, with the really thick stitching across the top.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll make you one for, I think I paid $80 for one, which is an expensive baseball cap. But,
Right.
you know, that's there was $30 of shipping in it as well.
Eesh.
They're in Sweden. It turned up and it was an exceptionally well-made baseball cap. To me, that's a really important thing, is the quality of the product that I'm buying.
Yeah.
We've been looking at trying to do e-commerce, and go off on a tangent now, but I've been looking at creating an e-commerce, a t-shirt store. I'm big on t-shirts. I love t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
Creating a little e-commerce t-shirt with some e-commerce store with some cool t-shirt designs.
Cool.
And you know, there's all this kind of supply and demand, t-shirt print on demand, right? Is a big thing. Print on demand is a massive thing. The trouble with print on demand stuff is generally the product that you're getting at the end is not the greatest.
Yeah.
Right. And I point in question, we ordered about 3 or 4 t-shirts through print on demand through a setup that we had off a Shopify store, and each one of the t-shirts came back as a different quality t-shirt. Now, I can't build a brand like that when there's a randomness at the other end of the quality that the consumer's getting. They may not know that. They may not be aware of that.
Yeah.
But I'm aware of it. So I'm going back now and going, I want to create my own t-shirt, which means I need to have a pattern made, which I've done, and then I need to have it graded, which I've done, and then I need to find a supplier that can make it in China, which I'm on the process of doing.
Yeah. And a consistent quality too.
Consistent quality.
Yeah.
And that to me is everything in business, is just delivering a consistent quality. It doesn't necessarily have to be a high level, but just say, this is what you're paying for, this is what you're going to get every time.
Yeah.
You know, it's classic McDonald's. That's what's supposed to happen at McDonald's, is you get, no matter where you are in the world, you get the same Big Mac.
Yeah.
You know, it's consistent quality so that the consumer knows what they're getting.
Yeah.
I think that's what will make people come back and buy from you over and over again. Point in question, the baseball caps is, you know, I want it to be a consistently good product that I put on someone's head. I mean, whether they're going to wear it or not is another matter entirely, because it's
I'd wear it.
Ridiculously promotional baseball cap.
I'm going to get bucket hats now, I reckon.
I looked at well, I'm going off subject here.
We got to wrap up soon.
I looked at those things on the beach, the mini tents, what they call cabanas.
Yeah.
So Cool Cabanas is a massive, massive brand.
Yeah,
right? But you can get the same cabana bought out of China, and you could have your brand all over it. And they come in at about $100 each. And I sat there and said, well, why don't we just get like loads of those and then just flog them at cost price? Then all of a sudden in the summers, in Queensland, you've got all these cabanas all across the beach with the Cemoh brand all over it. Again, I've just got to organise that. That's the problem.
No, very good. I think we are
reaching the end. So,
but
yeah.
I might steal that idea. So I'm so sorry.
Yeah, there's going to be Willseye cabanas everywhere next summer. Okay.
Big W, mate. I appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, my pleasure, mate. It's been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for jumping into this episode of the Willseye Podcast. To follow our journey, you can search at Willseye on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. To inquire with us, visit our website at www.willseyeproductions.com. Have a question that you want us to answer on the show? Simply comment on any one of our podcast posts. If you would like to be a guest on our show, get in touch with us on Instagram or email us at inquiry@willseyeproductions.com.